Hi, fifth graders. So we're going to read chapter 1 today. Chapter 1 is called The Box. And remember, it starts on June 22nd, so a month before the preface that I read yesterday. Did you ever notice how the colors seem brighter the first day of summer vacation? I asked Lizzie. The birds sing louder. The air is alive with possibility. Huh? Lizzie mutters, fingering through the comic books on the wall of my Uncle Arthur's store, Vinks, Comics, and Magic. Yeah, sure, brighter, louder, alive. It would bother some people if their best friend only half listened to them, but I figure talking to Lizzie is one step better than talking to myself. At least this way, people on the street don't stare at me. Over the next 2 months, I plan on learning a new magic trick or two, borrowing the 8th grade textbooks from the library to get a jump on my assignments, but not telling Lizzie, who would make fun of me, and sleeping as late as I want. This is going to be a summer of leisure. And smack in the middle, the state fair and my long-awaited 13th birthday. Usually, I love going to the fair, but this year I actually have to enter one of the competitions, and I'm dreading it. At least my birthday comes the same week. I am so tired of being considered a kid, and I am eager to officially become a teenager. I will finally learn the secret code of teendom. I hope there's a handshake. I've always wanted to belong to a club with a secret handshake. Run! Lizzie whispers sharply in my ear. Lizzie saying run in my ear can only mean one thing. She has stolen something. She's lucky my uncle and cousin Mitch are in the back room and didn't see her. They do not look kindly upon shoplifters. By the time I manage to thrust my comic book on the shelf, she's halfway out the door. In her rush, she's knocked over my backpack, which I propped up carefully on the floor between us. All the stuff flies out the unzipped top for the other shoppers to see. I grab the bag and quickly toss back in my dog-eared copy of the Time Travel for Dummies, a half-eaten peanut butter sandwich, a pack of Starbursts, 2 bite-sized peppermint patties, assorted magic tricks that I've collected over the years, the bottle of water that I always have on me because one can never be too hydrated, the astronaut pen that allows me to write in all conditions, including underwater and while lying on my back, and finally, my wallet, which always has at least $8 in it because my dad once told me that if a man has $8 on him, he can always get home. Then I take back out one of the peppermint patties, quickly unwrap it, and stick it in my mouth. I blame my dad for my sweet tooth. His motto was, life is short, eat dessert first. How can I argue with that? Slinging the backpack over my shoulder, I slip out the door and look up and down the street for Lizzie. Her red hair makes her easy to spot. She's leaning against the window of Larry's Locks and Clocks, admiring her newest treasure, an orange flyer advertising the debut of a Betty and Veronica double issue. Only moments ago it had been taped up on the wall in the store. Can't you use your talents for good instead of evil? I asked, swallowing the last of my peppermint patty. She doesn't answer, just folds the paper haphazardly and tucks it in her back pocket. Why, Lizzie? I ask as we start walking down the block toward home. Why? Why what? She asks, popping a piece of grape bazooka in her mouth. She offers me one, but I shake my head. Grape and peppermint just don't mix. Why steal something that has no monetary value? Would you rather I'd stolen something that does have monetary value? Of course not. Well, stop complaining then, she says. You know I can't explain the reasons for the things I take. I don't choose them. They choose me. What about all the customers who won't learn about the new Betty and Veronica because of you? She shrugs. Nobody reads Archie comics anymore. It's true that the Archie comics are always the last ones left at the end of the month. Archie was my dad's favorite when he was a boy, so he always made sure to stock them. Uncle Arthur doesn't know enough about comics to tell the difference between Mutant X-Men from Outer Space and Richie Rich. So he keeps ordering them all. That's not really the point, I tell her. It's not like you'll cry over your uncle losing a sale or two. You can't stand him, remember? It's not that I can't stand him, I insist, crossing my arms. You try having an uncle who ignores you and who is the identical twin of your dead father and see how you like it. Lizzie is quiet now and entirely focused on picking the scabs on her elbow. I know I shouldn't have said that about my dad. When he died, Lizzie was almost as upset as I was. He was like her second parent. As upset as she was, though, she still slept on the floor of my room in her sleeping bag for 3 straight weeks until I could sleep through the night again. We managed to reach our apartment building in Murray Hill without either of us further depressing the other and without Lizzie stealing anything else. One of our neighbors, Mr. Zoder, is slowly heading up the steps. It's Friday, so he's wearing yellow. My parents always said that New York City is full of characters, and that's why they wouldn't want to live anywhere else. We're about to follow him inside when our mailman, Nick, shows up wheeling his huge blue cart. Howdy, Nick, Lizzie says, saluting him. Well, if it isn't Lizzie Muldoon and Jeremy Fink, he replies, tipping his hat. All the mailmen in the neighborhood know us because Lizzie's dad works at the post office. Let's see what I've got for you guys today. Nick reaches into his cart and lifts out a big cardboard box. To my surprise, it's addressed to Elaine Fink with our address on it. I can't imagine what it would be since Mom never buys anything through the mail. In fact, except for food and clothes, which I insist have to be new after a kid in my class told me I was wearing a sweater his mom had thrown away the week before. We don't own much of anything that wasn't from a flea market or found on the street on bulk trash day. It's not that we can't afford new things. Mom has a good job at the library, but she believes retail is for suckers and that recycling other people's belongings saves the environment somehow. So what is in that box? Nick is about to hand it to me when he hesitates, and then he sets it back in the cart. Instead, he hands me our regular assortment of bills and junk mail. Wait, I say after he hands Lizzie her mail. What about that box? Isn't it for my mom? Sure, Nick replies, but it's registered mail. That means it's got to be signed for by an adult. But my mom's at work all day. I'm sure she won't mind if I sign for it. Jeremy is as tall as some adults, Lizzie states. That should count for something. Nick shakes his head. Your mom can pick it up at the post office on her way to work tomorrow. Not one to give up, Lizzie says. That box looks heavy. You don't want to have to lug it around on the rest of your route, do you? Nick laughs. It's not that heavy. I think I can manage. He starts to wheel his cart to the next building, and we keep pace with him. But Nick, I plead, tomorrow's Saturday, and our branch of the post office is closed. My mom wouldn't be able to get the box until Monday. If it's a special delivery, maybe that means it's really important. Like medicine or something, Lizzie adds. Right, I say eagerly, something that can't wait the whole weekend. I thought I heard Mrs. Fink coughing this morning, Lizzie says. She could have that bird flu thing, or German measles, or... Nick holds up his hand. Enough, enough, enough. Soon you'll have her quarantined for the plague, or the coronavirus. He reaches over for the box, and Lizzie and I flash each other for a quick grin. I sign my name as neatly as possible on the slip and hand it back to him. Just make sure you leave it for her to open, he instructs, laying the box in my waiting arms. Yeah, Lizzie says, opening other people's mail is a federal offense. We know the drill.